Hi guys, how are you? How's everybody? I'm going to be starting with card pulls for everyone. If you guys do want to book with me, it's $25, but you got to let me know you're going to, because I want to make sure I'm on the stream so I could do it right as we start, so that you guys don't have to wait. Because if I hop off, I don't want you guys to wait. So let me know, and I'll tell you how long I'm going to be on. Let's see. Okay. There you are. Oh, okay. I didn't know you were going to be on so soon. Okay, I'm going to take a few because the person that I'm waiting on to do their horoscope, I'm sorry, it's not just the horoscope. I'm going to be doing a natal chart reading. Part 1 natal chart. It has 3 parts, and a horoscope as well. So if you want to see what that's like, you can stick around. But I will take 3 people. Okay, so this is for Idalia. This talks about becoming in contact with someone that you're very well aware of this person and you don't get along, and there's beef with them from way back, and it kind of resurfaces. So what sucks is usually when people, connect with people from the past, it should be a clean slate, but in this particular case, they still have, I don't know how far back, but it's someone that, All right, guys, a couple more, 2 more, because I have to start this reading for the client. So this one is, so you can say card if you want a card pull. I don't answer questions unless you book a reading. But if you want a card pull, you can go ahead and say card pull. Or card. You don't have to put pull or anything, just card. That way it's easy for you guys. Okay, there's none. All right, Maggie, we're going to start, okay? So here's what we're going to do. Let me explain what I'm doing and how it goes so that you can see. I sent you. Oh, okay. Okay, so you wanna, what do you want to do? You wanna go do your thing, or, do you wanna, no? You wanna continue with the reading? I could do, you know what I can do, Maggie? I can take the astrology part I was going to do, and I could do that tomorrow if you want, and I can do the mind read tonight because that one is around 25 minutes. I'm extending the astrology for you because I'm kind of doing a hodgepodge of different things. I'll explain what I'm doing. I can do the mind read, and that way you can go do your plans if you want. Is that... Just give me like a thumbs up emoji. That'll let me know, because sometimes the timing of what your answer is off on anybody. Just give me a thumbs up emoji. That means you want me to do the mind read tonight. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay. So then we have time then. Okay. All right. In that case, I'm going to go ahead and do the astrology. Yes, astrology then. Okay. And then I'll do the mind read after. The astrology, this is what's going to be. So usually what happens is when I'm doing the, why does it say connecting with, what the hell is that? That's weird. Okay, that's weird. Okay, so I'm going to explain to you what's going on with the astrology. So when people want a natal chart reading, I break it in 3 parts because the quickest I can do a natal chart to really read the whole thing is about 6 to 10 hours. It is a monster, and that is me cutting and slicing and editing because life stories are so deep. So I break it down into 3 sessions, which are around 2 hours each. So 2, 4, 6. So what I did was I took part 1, which is I took part 1, and then I spliced and diced a couple of things from part 2, and I added it together to give you a cohesive, extra thing. And then we're going to do a horoscope. Horoscopes are totally different. A natal chart broken in 3 parts is when a person wants to know their destiny and the blueprint of their whole life. So it talks about the biggest things that happen, the most monumental things to be aware of, but it leaves out, details of, every month, every year, every day. It's the whole thing, kind of like a blueprint summary of the entire life. And there's a lot to say because everything is giving you advice. Every sign gives you advice, every star, every planet. You can imagine every celestial body. They're all there to give you advice on your life. So that's why it's such a monster to read. So I break it in 3 parts, right? So we're going to do part 1. Now, horoscopes. Once a person has their natal chart read very deeply, the next thing is people want to know what's going on with their life, like right now in astrology. Instead of using tarot or something like that, they want to know their life, what's happening, what's going on, what the future holds. So that's when we move into horoscope astrology. I do horary as well, but that's different. So there's horoscope astrology. So that's when I'm going to pull up your life story and what's going on right now, and zooming in on, big things. So this general life, it talks about all the different areas of life, a little bit of love, health, social life, family, a little bit of everything, but it kind of lets you know what's going on. And then of course there's specialized readings where a person's only looking for a career and job, only looking for love. Love astrology is a monster because that's my specialty. So that is different types of charts, and that's a whole other thing. So I wanted to give you the one of the full life, part 1 extended, and I'm going to give you a horary. I'm sorry, I keep saying horary. That's a whole other different type of astrology. Horoscope. Okay, I do so much. It's like I can't keep it all in my head. I just finished 8 monster readings back to back to back to back to back. So my brain's like, oh, okay. So I'm going to do a horoscope to let you know what's coming up, what's going on. After that, we'll see what time we have. And I have you down for a mind read with tarot on the Cancer, okay? Does that sound okay? Okay, all right. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to try to record this whole thing so that you have a backup, but I don't know if it will take. It's been a little bit quirky with that. I'm going to try, but by any means, if you want to do notes or something, I'm going to go through a ton of information very fast. So because I don't show the screen, number 1, I do too many things too fast, and I used to try to do that, and people would say that I was nauseating them because I don't just stare at one thing. I run a bunch of, I'm a Uranian astrologer, I'm an intuitive astrologer, I'm a predictive astrologer, and I also do use evolutionary techniques. I will drive you nuts if I'm going click, 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 and doing different charts. So what I did was I sent you through text or email, one of those, I sent you a visual for you to see your natal chart. I sent you a complex one, and I sent you one that's a simpler one that's cleaner to look at. The cleaner one is the one you should follow. That way it gives you a guide. And also, I'm not going to put people's natal charts up. They can target you for solicitors to look at your birthday information and look up information about you, and then it targets you, and I'm not okay with that. All right, so I send the client, whoever books a reading with me, I will send you the visual. So if you want, you can pull up, I don't know, are you a novice? Maggie, are you a novice at astrology, or are you, would say, intermediate, advanced, super advanced, expert? I don't care. Just what would be your level so that I know how to address how I do the reading for you. Same reading, but I will change the way I speak, you know? Okay, no worries. Not a problem. I will do a little mix of a beginner and intermediate, and we'll take it from there. Okay, let me pull up your chart. So first we're going to do part 1 of what I call the natal chart reading. And like I said, there's 3 parts. So I did part 1 and I extended it. So let's get into that, and I'm just pulling up your chart right now. All right. Have you ever had your chart read by anyone, Maggie? I know you love spiritual stuff, and I know that you're into a lot of things yourself. Have you ever experienced a natal chart reading from an astrologer? I mean, some people get like app stuff, but a real reading. Okay. All right. So this is your first time. All right. Okie dokie. So if you're not driving or at work or anything like that, and you want to pull it up, you can. If it's quirky for you, don't worry about it. So here goes. I'm going to start. So okay. So we're going to go over your. Oh, good. That's a good thing. Okay. So now you have a visual, okay, which is the simpler one. All right. You have a visual. Okay, here we go. Let's get started. And like I said, I'm going to be really fast because I have so much to cover and I'm trying to squeeze it in a time frame. All right. So hopefully this thing records and there's like a thing I can load to the channel. Okay. So your sun is in Gemini, 19th degree. You are a Gemini sun, but Libra is the degree of your sun. Okay, so you already automatically you are a Gemini that has a lot of Libra to you. And also your sub-ruler of your sun sign is Venus. So again, you have an incredible amount of Taurus and Libra energy in your life, in your soul's path. Okay, in your personality, you have a lot of Libra and some Taurus in there as well. Okay, but more Libra than anything. Your moon, you are an Aquarius moon, a 3rd degree. It is a Gemini degree. So that means that you may have an Aquarius moon, but it's a very hard moon. We're going to talk about that. And the fact that it has a Gemini influence is harder. Aquarius with Gemini is very hard. And your sub-ruler for your moon is Uranus. Again, very difficult moon, okay? Your rising is Virgo at a 10th degree. You are a Capricorn degree, so that means that your Virgo has a lot to do with Capricorn. So you are a Virgo rising without a doubt. Nobody changes your sun, moon, and rising. However, there are different flavors, okay? And your decan sub-ruler for your ascendant is Saturn. Excuse me. Your decan is with your sun sign, but you have a sub-ruler as well for your rising, and it is Saturn. So you have a lot there, and I'm going to unpack what that means. Okay, now, the first thing that jumped at me out of nowhere in your natal chart, it was like, whoa. I mean, it was like, that's the first thing. It's not even the first thing I look at. The first thing I look at is the first house, okay? To see what planets you have in the first house, because that's what you embody. But and in your case, give me one second. Okay. The first thing that jumped out at me, which was very, very rare, is that you have a complete over what do you call it? Has a name. I'm trying to think of the name. It was just at the tip of my tongue. Let me know you guys if I cut in and out with that. Let me lower the volume here a minute. Okay, there we go. It's not that loud. My other speaker's not working. Yeah, so you have a completely inward bound chart. There's a name for it. I think it's called all bundle. I think that's what it's called. It's very rare. You have it completely inward. Everything. You've got Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Okay, you know, can you see what I'm talking? Are you able to pull up the chart, the simple chart, or no? If you're not, don't worry about it. But if you are, I was going to point out what I'm talking about. That is extremely rare. I've been doing this 30 years, and I've seen this. You're like the third person. That's how rare that is. Okay, so you see it's everything is compact between 120 degrees. So you've got Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto retrograde. Everything is turned inside. Everything. All your planets are whoosh. It's called all bundle, and you have a completely inward chart. Now, on top of that, you have something else which makes it more difficult. The way that it's shaped is kind of like you have everything piled up in like two polar opposites. So it's almost like the entire chart has a seesaw shape to it. Okay. So that's very important, and I will be explaining what that means. So this reading, this natal chart reading, the part A, because I have 3 parts for it. This goes a great deal into reading your sun, moon, and rising. A lot of people just think it's a little bit about your personality and that's it, without delving deep. So that's why I'm going to show you how important it is. So again, your personality, you're a Gemini, but you're a Gemini very Libra-ish. Your moon, you're an Aquarius moon with a lot of Gemini in it. And you're a Virgo rising with Capricorn. Okay, so that is very significant. Now, it happens to be that I'm going to say something that's more horoscope oriented. You have you right now for the year, you just had a birthday, so for the year, you entered a 9th house Taurus perfection year. So for the year, you have a sign. Every year, a person lives under a certain type of sign, I guess you could call it. And a year, a house, a special number, a special numerology with the year. Okay, you're in a 9th house perfection year. So this is a year that you, from birthday to birthday, because in astrology there is no there's really no birthday like that. It's really your solar return. So that is your birthday, and it's also your New Year's actually. From birthday to birthday this year, you will have knowledge given to you. You will come across knowledge and wisdom you never had before, and it's going to be with things in the spiritual world. If you were pursuing higher education, I would have seen it because I have to read your horoscope. This is not so much with the higher education. This is more with spirituality, okay? Because that also can be. But for you, it's wisdom and knowledge regarding spiritual things that maybe you've been waiting for. All right, now back to that was more horoscope because it's about this year. Now we're going to go back into the life. So 1 second. Okay. So the next one is it's very important to know that your planets gather in two opposite groups, and a lot of the energy that you have is between those two groups. So you live between the pressure of planet clusters. So if there's a pressure over here and pressure over here already turned inward, and it's rocking, you live, a lot of your the energy of your life is between those pressures. And we will talk about again what that means. So I found it interesting that, Jupiter's the only water placement that you have. So I thought that was interesting. And you have a great deal of Virgo and Gemini all over your chart. So needless to say, that's definitely you. All right. Let's talk about the inward turn chart. There are many reasons why you have that. Your placements are a result of what your past life and your ancestral bloodline and your destiny, in this incarnation is meant to have because of the past life. And once the reincarnation, and the birth, of course, we see those ties and what you need in this life to carry you through to continue your destiny. So it is linked, of course. The fact that you have an inward turn chart is to get you through the hardships in particular, okay? And also it has a lot to do with lessons and things that you will need to go through. A lot of karma in your case. The first thing that comes into prominent vision right away was when I saw that you have your sun in the 10th house. And that let me know right there as a female, because with a male that's hard placement, but it's something that is very most common with males. When out of all those 10 house suns, I'm saying, to have it as a female in that space, that lets me know right away there's something very strong and difficult with the father. All right, so I've seen this, in people that maybe the mom and dad, maybe the dad passed young and then the mom was an aunt or something. Sometimes it's been that the dad passes. It can be that there's a very chaotic, change of the life because of the father, so a father trauma in a certain way. That lets me know there's a lot there, okay? And you don't have to explain your details. Obviously, this is very rough placement, and it talks about family life. Which brings me to my next point. I was gonna so there's two things I want to dissect with your sun sign first, but let's get a little bit into more the description of your sun first. Okay, there must have been a reason, because okay, but the thing is that the reason that your life has been harder, I was going to talk about this in different pieces later, but might as well mention it now. A lot of things that shape your life, that it has been harder for relationships, harder for trust, harder to excel, harder to shine in what you want, harder to follow your dreams, has been because of trauma in the home. Because a lot of the difficulties that you went through, it was traumatic, and you've tried nothing to recuperate. So that could mean that you left early and started working very early, and you gave up on living on their dollar. That could mean trying to be self-made, whatever it has been a very a rough setback. The cradling and cushion of a mother and father with, you know, all of the things they give the children was not there for you. So because of that, you had to do it yourself, and that set you behind. Okay? So that has been the reason why you have suffered with trying to climb up the ladder in success and make it. You've done a wonderful job, but it was harder because you had to be your own parents at a very young age when you were just supposed to go through that phase of your life in the world. So they set you back by the way they treated you or whatever the situation was, the coldness or detachment or not available or whatever it was, the judgment, you know, the hardness on you. What it did was it hurt a lot of your potential and your growth. But that doesn't mean that, see, your destiny knew that, which is interesting. That's why you have a lot of interesting things we're going to be talking about where it's not just a sad story. It's actually, you know, it has some good and some bad, but it's not all bad. Okay, so let's talk about your sun a little bit. When you know, this placement that you have, specifically you, in this area, it talks a great deal about when a person's name or success suffers from the connection or misconnection to the father, which I just talked about. The day that your parents pass, especially the dad, it does affect you, even though maybe you've already built a lot of hardship over it. There's a very difficult thing there on an emotional level. Maybe it lasts a couple months or whatever. Everyone's different, but it is very difficult. Hey, how are you? When you, oh, he passed? Okay, I'm sorry for your loss. The dad's pain that you have lived through, I mean, it's, from your situation, it looks like it's a whole family that's caused you a lot of aches, but this can hurt any long relationship you try to have. Oh, they both passed? Okay, I'm sorry for your loss, sweetie. When it comes to like marriages or relationships and stuff like that you've ever had, because remember, this is when you were born. So a lot of what I'm saying, some of it will be when you were 7, some of it already happened when you were 12, some of it will be when you're 18. So you got to realize I'm going all the way back to the day that you were born. So there's a lot of things that already you lived through, but a lot of things that you haven't, okay? All right, so when it comes to relationships and love life, this placement that you have in the sun in particular, you will bring that pain into your relationship, whether you see it or not. You will bring that pain that you had to live through. And what I mean by the pain is that karmic burning that they left because they didn't love you and support you in the way that you needed, and you had to go fend for yourself, and everything that you were missing with love and support, and that left a hole in you. And that hole kind of radiates when you connect with someone else. And if you whatever your love life history has been, that pain from the family does not escape it, okay? That's why Venus is there as your sub-ruler to help you. And, you know, the moon and a lot of things in your chart are there to cushion and help you out in your life to surpass that you have suffered, that you have gone through. Now, so I'm going to go a little bit faster now, okay, because we have a lot to cover. So there could be some ego at one point in your job, because you know you're good, you know you're smart, and any job that you've ever had, any career changes, anything, which probably have been a lot, because this placement your sun is talking about a great deal of job changes. So maybe 3 years here, 2 years here, 5 years here, 6 months here, 3 weeks there. There's a lot of changes. And ego is in it sometimes because you are more than the position that you've had, okay? You're very good at working independently, but this is also part of your destiny with the sun. You end up working a lot of things on your own. You should work for yourself, but that's one of the difficult things I see in your chart, that you've always wanted to, and life hasn't let you. But at the same time, you're wired to work for yourself because it's more lucrative. But then I see other areas in your life where it just doesn't allow it, and we'll talk about that. There's a lot of priorities for you at some point in your life may have been that you want more power and more reputation than money. Obviously, money is very important, especially to Virgos. But I'm just saying that reputation and respect and things like that sometimes mean more to this placement at some point. And then sometimes they just give up, and then they're like, I just want the money, I don't care anymore. But this could have been a phase in your 20s or 30s or something like that. This placement also makes you have a lot of questioning in authority. So you may have butt heads with a couple bosses, and that happens. So you can have a lot of highs and lows in your career. One day a manager, the next day, like the next job, something lower than the next job. And it can go up and down, and there's a struggle to find, 10 house suns, they want this balance of their life. They want this balance in their career. They want it to just be smooth and easy and grow up, kind of like that 90s mentality, that old boomer kind of lifestyle. You go to school, you graduate, you go work somewhere, you move up, you retire because it goes all the way up, and that doesn't happen with 10th house sun. 10th house sun, their jobs are, all over the place, up, down, and they don't want it to be that way, but that's the way it is. And it's all because of the family unit having issues. And you would say, well, why is that linked? They grew up. Like, what's the problem? That's the karma. That's how it goes. Because of this happened. Because of this happened. And there's this like inner thing they haven't worked out, and it's a thing. Okay. This sun is very hard when it comes to that. Now, there's a lot of affliction in incoming gains. So a lot of the times that you try to improve yourself financially, it's almost like life doesn't let you. So there's a lot of pressure there. We're going to talk about Saturn in your life and a lot of things. It's very hard for people with 10th house sun. I mean, if they do have a career, like a university academic field that they study, it is hard for them to, stick to it. And if they finally graduate, they usually don't work in their field. And people with this placement in the sun, they, a lot of times they want to study and they don't, or they can't for some reason or another, or just maybe they weren't feeling it, or they were rebellious about it at one point. And they want it, but they didn't. And there's this whole big thing with academia and a career that's applying that academia. Like very, very difficult, very difficult. So those that graduate in their field, they end up working in something else. Maybe similar sometimes for some, but usually it's something else. So the growing in a person's job where they want eventually affects their mental health. It can depress them, and it can really do a number on them emotionally through their life, because the 10th house sun wants to shine and work and be recognized for their efforts and for their application on what they do. They need it, they want it, they thrive in, I'm going to put my all into this, and I want to have something show for the work I've done. And the sun is saying, yeah, no, it's not going to be like that. And it's very difficult for us, this 10 house sun, okay? So you just have to learn to, that's why you have an Aquarius moon. It's a tool. And I want to mention more about that when we get to your moon. It's to help you, because that's difficult. So you have to be very careful with things with your liver. So, if your liver enzymes, fatty liver, when you get your checkups every year, also stomach issues, digestive issues, when you do blood work and stuff like that, your checkups with your doctor, because this 10th house sun can give a person tummy issues, digestive issues, and you have to watch your cholesterol and things like that with the liver. Okay. You will not be liked at your job all the time. Oh my goodness. Isn't that the one that doesn't cure? There's one that a person lives with that they have to treat, kind of like, what's her name, the actress? Oh my God. The one that was the blonde in that show, Baywatch or whatever. I cannot remember her freaking name. She's Canadian. She's blonde. I think she did Barbed Wire. I cannot remember her name. I'm bad with names. Oh, okay. Pam Anderson. Yeah. She, there's one strand of it that is incurable, but that's treatable. And the other ones the person cures. I forgot. She has the one that is not cured, but treated. Okay. So, how did you contract it? Was it through tattoos and stuff, or just like from a person, or? I'm glad you don't know. Wow, that's interesting. It's important so that you never get it's important to find out about those things, because that way you can do, your own tracing kind of thing, be aware. Okay, sweetie, I'm glad you overcame that. That's awesome. Okay, so we went over your sun briefly. As you can see, the sun in Gemini, the way you have it, is not so simple. I'm about to shed even more light on your sun, and I'm still not done examining your sun. And after this, there's even another section that I can't cover in this one, but the sun is very, very, very deep. Okay. So I hope to cover as much as I can here, but not everything. You can't squeeze everything in there. All right, let's talk about this. So at one point in your life, this probably already happened, at one point in your life, you could be deserted by the people that I would say are very close to you. Like fending for yourself. I think maybe that might have been like when you moved out or whatever. But this can re-trigger. That's why I'm saying you could have had something like this in your tweens, teens, early adulthood, whatever it is. The sun basically, I just wanted to let you know that if I were to condense it, give you the nutshell version, the sun is reminding you that for the rest of your life, you cannot put 100% confidence. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. That you cannot put 100% confidence in people. You're very loving. Virgo loves people. They yearn for people in a way, because Virgos are loners, but they don't want to be. So it's kind of weird. It's like, and Geminis are very social. So you want to love and you want to connect, but friends aren't your thing, I'm not saying don't have them, but I'm saying be very smart. Enjoy connections and growth and socializing, but learn that boundary, because at the end of the day, you can rely on yourself in your particular chart. Okay. So it's this particular sun karma is about a person that needs to stand on their own 2 feet. The one not in the house placement itself, but your specific Gemini placement, what it's saying in the chart, because that's not easy to see. This comes from understanding the way that the sun is talking. So that's why I'm saying to you that there's nothing for you to see in this particular case. The other one, yes, you could see it in the 10th. But there's no visual for what I'm saying to you. This is just a reminder that, you have to plan your life, where you could just any minute just, stand on your own 2 feet just in case, and rely on yourself first. Because, at some point there could be a big shocking letdown, and this is a repeated pattern, in your life. Okay. Another thing that this talks about is, you see, Gemini is such a complicated sign, such an intelligent sign, and it draws from logic and spirituality at the same time. And in this particular placement, Geminis sometimes can be, without them realizing it, and much to their chagrin, they can be pulled into their own illusion. They can see the world and swear it's true, and they're not right. And they'll swear and swear and swear this person's not trustworthy, and then the person was. Or they'll swear because they feel it with every fiber of their being that person is tricky and not to be trusted, and they really were honest. So sometimes that happens. Another thing is very similar to Pisces in some cases. Geminis can have a life planned in their head that has a precision to it. And the precision, has nothing to do with being psychic or not, it has nothing at all to do with that. It's the Gemini, you got to realize Gemini lives in, the house of illusion, and it's very interesting. They have the complexity like no other sign, where they can look at everything all at one shot, and they can like zoom into so many things. It's like most signs are overwhelmed by that amount of mental energy, and Geminis eat it. Like they just really own it. But at the same time, they can be seeing, ever been in a house of mirrors where you think you're seeing something and you're really not? Why do you think most tricks and stuff and magicians and stuff are Gemini, right? So it's illusions, it's tricky, and you can run a trick on yourself, so and in this particular case, it talks about, if you sit and plan, and you being Virgo rising means even more analytical planning. This type of Gemini sun can have a person in their head build this life that it has to look like this house, and it's going to be this color, and this is going to be like this, and then they set themselves up for doom and failure because it didn't fit the mold they wanted. And if it didn't fit the mold they wanted, it's a letdown. So you were born with an Aquarius moon. Let's talk about how important that is. An Aquarius moon has the gift of looking at the bigger picture in life and letting go. They can be the most indifferent and the I don't give a attitude, and very disconnected, and be extremely happy in that world. However, you have a great deal of Gemini in that Aquarius placement, which means instead of being indifferent, you're going to analyze something and convince yourself as to why you should rebel. So what led you to leave your home early and rebel from your parents was your moon. So it's a blessing and a curse. If you would have been obedient and different, I'm not blaming you. I'm just looking at life in different ways, because that's what light and dark is. Astrology is the study of light and dark. So we look at things in different ways to see, to learn, to evolve. And if you would have had a different demeanor and connection and way of resulting and everything, if you wouldn't have rebelled, you'd be in a different boat, right? So it's not your fault. It's theirs, but it's a little bit here and there. And a lot of it is, I'm going to rebel because that's what the Aquarius moon is. But with that placement on it, it makes it more susceptible, where you imagine a solution and then life can feel like a failure, like it let you down. And the moon is trying to tell you, no, embrace the other side of what we're here to do for you. So let's talk about your moon. You were born under a waning gibbous moon phase. And that is a very special moon. I talk about it in my lunar phase video. Very, very strong, very, very strong moon. and a very beautiful moon. And let's explain a little bit about what this moon is. All right, so this moon will bring you in particular, not a one in gibbous, your moon placement. So your placement in your chart of where it is, what it's saying, what it represents, and what's going on. That's what I'm reading. Okay? So in this particular case, your moon can have a lot of shocks of misfortune out of nowhere. So let's say, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say that a person gets an apartment and they put everything into the fridge and groceries and they're waiting for the next paycheck. I'm just making this up, just giving an example. Painting a picture, that's all, to drive home a point. They put all they finally got it. They got furniture. They're down to like, $5 and they've got everything in the fridge. And then all of a sudden a pipe bursts, the power goes out. They have no groceries and they have water damage that's going to be 5 months to repair overnight. So it's like, what? It's all of a sudden a person puts all their eggs in one basket, and then it's like it all goes to hell in a handbasket. And this is the fact that this type of moon has with it a connection to the mother's luck. So that lets me know right there that there's something that, this came from the mother line. So there's kind of like a sense of something disrupted. So something in her destiny, maybe there was, I'm not going to speculate because it's disrespectful, but there are certain things in life where a person can kind of lock in a certain type of bad karma or bad luck. So that means that you have to be, because you're very spiritual, you have to clean yourself a lot. Be a person with amulets and things that protect you, and stuff for evil eye, and sage that shit and all that stuff, because you need to be aware. Good. You need to be aware of those kinds of things because it's just part of it. One of the things that is very special about this moon is that you have the patience and the strength in your life and in your personality and in your mind to deal with that kind of thing. It doesn't break you. It makes you stronger. And that's a very good thing. There's one event in your life where at one point you may have to walk away from all of what you hold most valuable. So, for example, let's say you lived with a bunch of siblings. I'm just making it up. You lived with a bunch of your siblings, and you shared a dog or something, and that dog was your world, but the sibling owned it, and then you had to move, and then you had to walk away from the dog. Something like that, where you have to give up something very dear to the heart. Is also in the destiny of that moon. That probably already happened. But it was something, so it could have been, whatever was dear to you, jewelry, a pet, a person, a relationship, something of value. It's like when a person had to walk away from and they lost something very valuable. It could have been a relationship as well, sharing something to, something like that, whatever. For some people it can be like even, like kids or pets or something, you get the picture. I don't like to harp on those things because those things, they're private for the person. Okay. So your destiny originally, okay, yeah, that's fine. Your destiny originally, one of the things that you were meant to do was be recognized by the government. So like have a career job for the government, like stay at home, get a Pell Grant, go to school, finish your academic pursuits, and get a government job, because this is a person that your main it's like you were supposed to become an expert in your field. That doesn't mean that's it, and that's it. We're going to talk about a little bit more about the things coming, but this is from birth, and I don't know what you've lived through. But this is when a person is destined to be like they were born with the intelligence, I should say, to become an expert at one thing. So, for example, let's say, okay, that was government. All right. Was it a teaching position or something like that, or a what they call non-instructional? Non-instructional was everything that's not a teacher, and instructional is teacher. Okay, non-instructional. Okay. So this shows anyway that we're sticking to the government job or something. You were going to grow anyway, but like I said, the reason that I spent so much time on the sun is because the sun destiny here it kind of comes in to disturb. Oh, okay, yeah. So that pays well, and there's ways to grow in that. And once you've been in transportation for a long enough time, you can even go over to Parks and Recreation, or you can go over to something else, and you don't ever have to leave. The school district is one thing, but you can then, because you have that in your background, the person can get and work for the water, the water treatment plant, or they can go into, you get the picture. One government body, even though it's a different entity, it will look at that and say, okay, that's still city or county or whatever. It's different than us, but it's part of it. And then you can plug into other things. All I'm trying to say to you is that there's a lot that your moon wanted you to stick to something government and grow in it. And the sun was going to disrupt it and make it difficult. And the rebellion of the moon was going to walk away from it. But the moon was there to tell to try to say, no, just be more patient and stay. So the thing that your moon also is there for you to do is to kind of deal with things at a mass level. So that's why I'm saying government and things that are for the masses and stuff, which is very Aquarian. Okay. Now, at some point in your life, you may become connected to people that have a certain powerful position. So you may rub elbows with people that have high standing. Do you have uncles and friends that are cops or something that are lieutenants? Because a cop is a basic job. But lieutenant or something higher up, sometimes that is, if you have a friend that's a firefighter, but is a lieutenant firefighter, someone higher up. Okay. So in your future, at some point, if you work for the school district and you were very close to the principal, that's a high standing, high rank position, because that's the principal of the school. You get the drift. So it talks about at some point, in your job and in what you do, you can have a connection to people that can open doors for you for jobs and for things like that. It talks about networking. So it also talks about having connections to people that have a different background than you, as well. So, to open doors to profitable opportunities. You may not have lived your moon yet till for the union. Okay. You may have lived through this already, but with this type of Capricorn touch to it, being Saturn the ruler of it, You may hit that at 45, 45, 46. What I'm talking about, maybe 47. There's a possibility. You have not lived through your entire. You're too young. You have not lived through your entire. Oh, okay, because of the district job. Okay, that connection may repeat for you. Okay, that connection may repeat. Because your moon can be ignited again during a second Saturn return, which would probably put you at early 50s. So you're definitely not there yet. But I'm just letting you know there's some things going on with this moon. You know, this is not a vocational chart where I really dissect everything with work, but it gives you a good idea. You're the type of person that because of the people that you know, and you mingle with, they will open doors. So your moon is trying to tell you, hey, work for places that, even though I see, we're gonna talk about some of your destiny with Jupiter and you having a commerce life. So a lot of like retail type of commerce, I'll tell you about that. But this is letting you know that your moon wants you to obtain a higher position and grow in it and stay in it and grow in it. Things with government. So like you said, the union, school district, that's the route the moon wants you to take, because that's going to give you stability. But of course, life happens and, now, aside from, there's a lot more, but I'm going to keep going. Yikes, do I even have a time to do this? I'm trying to squeeze it all. So you have your natal moon in the 6th house. Right off the bat, if you look at your 6th house, let me know if you're staring at your 6th house with the moon in it. You see it there? Go ahead and look at your 1st house. You see the distance from where you're standing? Your body is the 1st house. You see how on the 6th house, it's completely on the other side of you? You can't see your enemies. It's not because you're not psychic. It's not because you're not spiritual. It's not because you're not smart. You can't see your enemies, and you won't the rest of your life. It is a very important placement to teach you that a lot of enemies will not be noticed by you, especially where you work. Friends is a different story. Friends, you might catch it like a lot. Romance, friends of friends, yes. Work, no. That doesn't mean you don't know, like with that detective, rising you have, that doesn't mean you don't know, you can't feel it, but you won't catch them what they're doing, like the toxicity. Okay, so you can't. There's nothing you can do about it. You got the moon in the 6th. You're not going to see your enemies. So that means you got to rely on other things for that, which is why you have certain things in your chart to help you with that. Now let's talk a little bit more. Let's see. This moon makes you, have a very difficult time being an issues magnet. So you're going to draw a lot of people that have problems constantly, and they want you to be their therapist or their bank or their nurse or their whatever. And I think you should buy a t-shirt that says, I ain't your mama, So it's just very simple, because this is a rough moon when it comes to, issues magnet people, like psychomagnet. This moon is telling you to lower the distractions that you have in your life. It drains you. There's a lot of things. You tend to hyperfix on one part of your life, and it overwhelms you. Like if it's finances, you will hyper focus on. See, you can focus. When the person is very sharp. Now, when you hyper focus, That's when it's draining you. That's way too much. That's to an extreme. And it talks about you fixating so much on one area of your life, like let's say love life, you may not see other things going on, other things you need to see. So this is very important. This moon is urging you to take care of your emotions. Everyone should, but in this particular case, people with this moon have to disconnect sometimes and take some time off and shut off the electronics and lay on the beach with a book or have a glass of wine in a park or whatever it is that you do. I don't know, but just unwind, go for a bike ride, walk, whatever, play with your pets. You have to unplug for your well-being. You need to recharge, not only mentally but spiritually, because you're very intense. So after 24, even though 27 is the completion of the lunar cycles, and you already lived through your first Saturn return, you won't have another Saturn return for a while. But after 24 in particular, this moon, your intuition grew. So I would say your awakening and spiritual stuff grew at 24 to 25, whether you realized it or not. That's when spirituality started like everywhere. So you're a late bloomer, but it's a very potent, hang on one second, I have to fix that. So this moon can make you feel very lost in your career pathway. Kind of like, what am I meant to do? I'm lost. I don't have, it hurts the self-esteem with work, with, this person is, you have what it takes to be very intelligent and grow in a field. Things with maybe as weird as this sounds, but like electrician, if you wanted to be like electrician, if you wanted to work with, if you wanted to be a science major at something, not saying that you would be into criminology per se, it's not in your chart, but there's so many things that pull towards something that is very analytical, almost like in a lab. Like you, in some way, shape, or form, there's a part of you that can, where you have such a fixation on something that you can be excellent at it. You are drawn to things like, are you interested in botany? Botany, or like the way that certain, maybe even like gems, for example, an interest in the way that rocks work and form. There's something very scientifically very inclined with your moon. You're also very good with people, as far as large groups of people in a calmer setting. So I would say you could be the mastermind of an operations and logistics at the same time. So you are somebody that in business, you have a head for business. That's definitely there. Where you can also grow incredibly because you can handle what 4 people can handle, 4 managers. And you haven't been seen with the gifts that you have. And that brings pain to this person in this moon, this karma. Because you know what you can do. And you have ideas where, let's say that you are at your job, whatever your job is. And let's say it's a retail environment. Let's just make it up, and you don't have to give your information on here or anything. And let's say that, you're seeing how your tasks are there. And the boss comes around and you're like, oh, why don't you do it like this and like this and like this? It's so much easier. And they're like, no, we don't do it that way. And then they're like stupid. And you could like do triple the amount of work all at once. They don't let you grow. So that's the thing with Aquarius moons or sun or rising. They kind of see right away, wow, I see the easy way of doing this. All you have to do is buy this machine. It's like very little and you do this and this, there's practical knowledge. And they just, a lot of people around you, what's that bumper sticker? It says, it's hard to, soar like an eagle when you're surrounded by turkeys. Yeah, you're surrounded by turkeys. And this is, but without joking, seriously, this is a very very misunderstood moon, job direction, pain, you know, a lot of a situation where there's way too many negative people in your life and you don't have the get up and go to get them out of your life because you're caring and you just kind of chill with it. And this is like saying, no, get the crap out. And it takes you hell and high waters to get the crap out. You stick with a lot of toxic people just because you're just friendly or calm and, you know. This moon is reminding you not to stay stuck on expectations. The more you stay stuck on expectations, the more you will feel like everything is a failure. You should incline more to the Aquarian vibe, which is caution to the wind. Hey, tomorrow's tomorrow. Virgo might tweak and say, oh my God, you know, you have to plan it. And everything about you saying, no, I want you to be open to new things. I want you to not obsess about one thing. You know, you learn relax and detach, right, from the expectation. So a lot of mental energy there brings a lot of stress on the person's mind. Now, the person also doesn't speak enough about it. So you could be very vocal as a Gemini, but the Virgo will make you very private. So another thing too, you do have the 6th house. Let me see something. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, this is hard to say, but you know, I'm going to go there. The mother makes the person with this moon suffer in some way, shape, or form. There's a lot of pain with the mother. You know, wanting the mother to be there and they're not there. Maybe even there for other siblings, but you know, it's a whole love thing. And detaching from family. This moon loves the family. This moon loves to be part of something beautiful and big and stuff. But it has a Hollywood mentality, or like the movies mentality of it. You know, the way that they think of it. And this is saying, you know, no, if it's toxic, you don't need it. You know, you don't need it. Yo, wow, that's... The moon is a very big thing. I mean, we could be here for probably another hour. I'm going to skip ahead at a couple of things. We're going to go into your ascendant, you know, which I explained already, you know, what it was and the energy that it has and the subruler. Very important. But you're always going to attract a lot of friends, always. Whether you want them or not. You will have plenty that want to go hang out with you and like a magnet. So you're never going to be short of people that want to hang out with you. And you're also a person that, despite all of the hurts and ups and downs and difficult hardships that nobody knows about, you are fortunate, no matter what. There's a lot of gifts and good fortune in your life. Virgo risings, no matter what, they are envied, and a lot of times you ask them why and they can't figure it out. Virgo themselves as well, Virgo sun, a lot of times they're envied and they don't ask for it. That is the last thing a Virgo wants. They don't understand why. Whether they're rich, whether they're not, whether they're from this class, that class, this place in the life, it doesn't matter. Virgos sometimes are very envied out of nowhere, and they really innocently don't know why. They don't cause anything for that. They'll break it down and say, they'll break it down with words and say, they'll almost like ridicule to themselves, saying, you're jealous of blah, 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 blah. And then people will be like, well, you make it sound that way. And the Virgo will be like, well, that's what it is. What are you seeing? Like what? Like grass is greener, what? But it is true. Virgos have to be careful with that. And, you know, but this is explaining to you that even though you don't see it, maybe when you get older, you will see you have good fortune. Even if you think that everything sucks and everything's gone to shit, that's not true. You are very fortunate because the things you need in life will come to you. You are the type of person that one moment, everything, it looks like every door is closed and heaven opens a door and brings you something in that you needed. And at the end of the day, you always make it. And you will have a lot more than now, because if you get low, you're always going to have something go up again. The problem is you got to learn how to stabilize, okay? And that's one of the karmas that you have, is learn to do the things in your life that brings the stability that you can have. Now, there's one point, I don't know if you've lived through this yet, but this is when all of a sudden a person, yeah, because that's okay, 5, 6, 7, 12, that one's on opposite side, yeah. Okay. All right, at one point in your life, a lot of your stability and everything you've built can be jeopardized by a woman. So let's say that you have a really high position and you're living groovy and everything, you worked really hard, you got where you wanted, and then all of a sudden they have a new hire and she fires you. It's like, what? So I don't know what, but this is like when a person's just minding their own business, living their life, and then a woman in power comes in and goes, and it's, so you have to be very careful with female bosses. If you're not going to work for yourself, which I see that you're not fully going to work for yourself, it would be best in your life if you did. But because there's been a lot of choices through the years, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the future here. Okay, this is important. This is all future when you're born. So I don't know what you've lived through, but which would make it then the past. But there's a lot of things you haven't. When it comes to money and work, don't have a woman boss if you can help it. Always work for a man if you can. They will not do that. A female will eventually jeopardize. It doesn't mean everyone, but there could be some good female bosses. But in your particular case, it talks about a couple of situations, and you want to pay attention to things triggering your ascendant. Okay, so this is why when I teach astrology, just your basics. When I teach people just your basic stuff to look forward, you pull up your horoscope. You want to keep an eye on your ascendant if you are worried about your work, because this is when it's triggered. That in certain ways that it's triggered, you will see in your life, oh, that's coming, oh shit, okay, get ready. And that's where you can do something to prevent it. Okay, you butter the situation up or whatever it is, because this is I'm going to say something pretty direct. I don't want you to get offended by it, but this is when a person is extremely capable in business smarts, but very dumb with people. Don't take that the wrong way. You are smart and very cunning and very aware when it comes to giving advice to those that you care about. You will see things a mile away, but for yourself, you are business super smart. How to make a business out of nothing. How to run a business and make it successful, and you know what sells, and you know how to sell, and and you know the game, and you know how to market, you know how to do all those things, and then some. But when it comes to people, you're not as bright, and that's because you can't. You know why? Because you don't have the heart, especially with a Capricorn Virgo energy in you. You don't have the heart to do to other people what people would do to you. That's why. Because at the end of the day, you can't fathom how a person can be so cruel or toxic. And that you haven't learned that part about humanity. A person is sweet to you and you eat it hook, line, and sinker. If a person is rude or strong, you will not like them. But you can't go by that. Because a person that's, they could be misread. But the more you grow spiritually, which I want to talk to you about as well, you're going to use that as a tool to help you out. Because you were born with psychic gifts that are meant to help you with all of that. Okay? All right, so now, were you ever accused of popping someone? You know what I mean? Like, boom. Were you ever physically with someone? You can't say certain words, but would talk with your fists, kind of thing. Because it talks about a couple of times, a couple of things in your chart where there could be some altercations. With someone pissed you off or something, they looked for it. It talks about that. It talks about making enemies, a lot of gossip, a lot of times in your life where the shit hit the fan because of gossip and anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff with that where, you were provoked and pressured. Okay. There's also a situation with, you got to be careful now that you mentioned that. You got to be careful with extramarital affairs and lies. All right? That you probably lived through that, but a lot of these things can be re-triggered in certain ways. In some ways you live through it. So that's the thing. It's interesting about the natal chart is sometimes there could be a re-trigger which will never be as potent as the first time around, but you can have a round 2 and 3, which is more mild. And then you have those things that once you live through it, you can just take a marker and scratch it off and you're done. So that's like, But about your rising, which we still have a lot, I'm going to try to condense it. You could be stolen from, like, like if you, from your wallet, or like be taken advantage of with your material things, someone like taking from you, like your items, like if you have 3 or 4 of something at your home and somebody takes it, you're always going to be like if you bulk buy some stuff, makeup or whatever, a friend will come and whether it's like physical money or items or jewelry or whatever, you always have to be careful with people that like to fit their pockets. You also have to be very careful that you could be MUGEED, so add the ED. All right. With those kinds of things, because, to be watched and stuff like that, you got to have a lot of good habits, when like if you leave a place at night, maybe like, simple habits of being like really smart, street smart and stuff, like being aware for safety and different things, precautions and things. Not all the time, but this talks about there will be certain times in your life where that is possible. But it would be someone that and studies what you do. So if you be careful who you let in your home. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to the actual hurt stuff, like to the body, your chart talks a great deal about arguments and fights. Like, to have altercations is where the physical harm can occur. Okay, if you don't have like what you said with your ex thing, if you don't enter in those altercations and things like that, which happens with a quarrel with a lover or something like that, those things happen to some people that get with someone who has a loose hand, right? Never put yourself in a situation when that can happen, because that's where that would come in, or any altercation with people yelling at each other. But other than that, the only other kind of thing that can happen in your chart is when they take physical money. Yeah, that's why I said, I didn't want to say it like that, but that's why I said, have you ever been accused of someone? You know, that's why I said it like that earlier, because I saw that. Yeah, but as far as for you though, the only thing with you would be altercations. So we're talking about 3 different subjects. The first one I said was in your rising, you know, there's a warning that things can escalate because you using brute force instead of your Jupiter talks about it too, which it's in 3 places. So that means that in the future there could be like, you know, an argument or something like that with a lover or someone very close to you, that if you have an altercation, you could have a loose hand, right? But then the other part, I switched and then I started talking about areas that you have to be safe, like yourself. And there's 2 areas. One is any time where there's a lot of yelling, because it talks about the retaliation of an enemy. So you have to be careful with that. And then the other one is where you could be victimized financially. So your belongings, money, your purse, your home, you know, things like that. So you have to, you know, if you can get cameras, you know. Everybody, you know, has to have those precautions all the time. You know, it's just, I don't say it to worry you. I'm just saying, and this would be triggered with a couple of places. So Pluto, Jupiter, and your rising has a lot of triggers with that. Now, here's what I did. I went ahead and I jumped the gun a little bit and I went to part 2 of the natal reading, where I dissect the planets. You know, I unpack the planets in detail. And in part 3, what I do is I look at all the asteroids, celestial bodies, comets, fixed stars. I do a lot of things like that in the 3rd one. But I went ahead and I wanted to look at like big warnings for you, like safety warnings, since, you know, we had talked about that. And I plucked them out of part 2 so that I don't leave you not knowing in part 1, okay? So let me go over this a minute. The first thing that I noticed when I was scanning the chart for, you know, like things that caught my eye, things that just I made notes of. You have Uranus and Neptune in the 4th in Sag, okay? And you also have them in retrograde, and that is an incredibly... You have a 3-degree orb from your Lilith, your Black Moon Lilith. Do you know what that means? So you want to look at your 4th house in a chart that I sent you, the simple chart. Look at your 4th house. You see how Uranus and Neptune are retrograde and they're in your 4th, and they are 3 degrees of orb difference from your Black Moon Lilith? Okay, spirituality for you, it's a double whammy. We're going to talk about the bad part first. It can be an addiction, unhealthy. And at some point in your life, you can go through a really bad situation spiritually. That means you either get scammed, bad, or you could deal with somebody that, you know, I don't know, maybe you start doing magic or something, and then all of a sudden you make a big chaos, and then like a haunting or some crap, and then you have to like run or something and take care of it. I don't know. Everybody's different. You know, that has to be looked at with close inspection. But I'm telling you right now, Uranus and Neptune in the 4th in Sag, retrograde, and a 3-degree orb for Black Moon Lilith, that right there, oof, be very careful with the spiritual psychic world. Neptune right there is telling you it is an addiction. Bad. Okay, bad. So what does that mean for you? It means that you have what it takes, which is why you have in it an all inbound chart. Every planet is retrograde inverted. You have what it takes within yourself to learn the difference between spirituality and logic, because one of the highest gifts of an inward bound chart is that you can be an expert in your field in something like science or something like that, which is a route that you didn't take, but destiny kept trying to pull you into it, because you had the commerce destiny, and then you had, which is the business aptitude, and then you had the scientific clinical one, right? And you, because of the issues with the sun karma and the family, your life took a different way, but that you had a supplemental one, right? So your talents don't go away, but life readjusts as the person makes mistakes. So if I were reading to you and I was 10, and you would be, let's say that your mom would have come to me when you're 10, because I don't read for kids, but if your mom would have come to me for 10, oh, read my 10-year-old's chart, I would have been like, she can't leave home. I don't give a shit how mad she is. She gonna be something big in science. Like, leave her alone. You just deal with it. Deal with it, whatever. Don't send her to boarding school. She's gonna make it. But things change, right? So does that mean everything's gloom and doom? No, it does not. It means life continues, and Venus has gifts for you, right? That's why Venus is so powerful in your chart, and the moon. So that means that no matter what, life will find, it's like a GPS. It's going to keep restructuring. You're not going to get the same result you did ages ago, but you're still going to get a solution, okay? You're still going to touch the parts of your destiny you were meant to touch. Let's talk about that a minute. This is esoteric. We're going to delve into the spiritual behind the curtain kind of thing, behind the veil. Spirituality, the reason you're addicted to it, I'm going to be honest, I'm just going to say it like it is. You are addicted to it because you need comfort emotionally from the pain you've been through, and you need answers. Because you've been on your own, and you were born with gifts, and those gifts are the only thing you have that are trying to speak for you and to you, your ancestors, and they're trying to push you in a direction to get light so that you can get those abilities going and you can get this off the ground, because they're trying to kind of solve the problem for you. Your parents didn't do it. The human beings in your life didn't do it. The dead are trying to do it, okay? So you are pushed to, hardwired to want spiritual things, and you're just trying to get an answer. And the answer is you're supposed to rise above a certain, ability and a certain level that you're supposed to evolve to. And I'm going to talk to you about that. But along the way, you need to have that in check. You cannot sit there and constantly hyper focus on spiritual things and spiritual people and spiritual stuff, and because you will be scammed, and you will go through hell in one of those situations. Okay, like I explained to you. Okay, so this is where you have to keep it in check. And Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter expands everything it touches. This is bigger than life, because you're searching for this magical moment. Let's talk about your vertex. I analyzed your vertex, your anti-vertex. I went a little ahead of this part of the reading because I know you want answers. I can tell you right now, at one point in your life, after 40, you at one point are going to have some kind of movement someplace, especially maybe in the northern section. I don't know if it's a northern state like Washington or Canada, or there's something northern about the situation. I'd have to look deeper in your vocational chart, which this is just natal. But I know that you are going to start a side business in spirituality. It's not going to be your primary. You're going to stay in commerce. You're going to stay in something with sales and working for someone and something like that. Now you have the ability to go the government route if you wanted to, which is what your moon wants, but that's a whole other thing. You are going to elevate to help people spiritually in some kind of consultation. It's going to be a side business for you that will give you a relief and a joy and a fulfillment of your destiny. Okay? This is what you hunger without even realizing it, or maybe you do realize it. You will do this. It is not going to be your main career because, again, Sun is telling you, do not make mental fantasy kind of, making your life look a certain way when, when you can't already force what it looks like to you, like a poster or a picture. Live your life. It's full of adventure. It's a reason. You have Neptune in Sag. Sag is adventure as well, right? But there's this double thing. Like it is to heal you. It is to align you again. It is to strengthen you. That's why you have this call towards spirituality. But I'm telling you, with the Black Moon Lilith 3-degree orb, that's wicked. That's wicked bad. Dangerous, okay? So another thing is, at one point in your life, I can already tell you by analyzing your vertex, anti-vertex, your nodes, and a lot of things with your destiny, you at one point will reach a very pinnacle point that you've been after. It's a moment, it may not last long, but you will reach a point of seeing something spiritual, experiencing, I should say, not seeing, experiencing something spiritual very heightened that you have been wanting your whole life, or at least since 24. So that can be a reading that I do have an example of a client. I don't know if it would be helpful to explain that. I've seen this placement, is very rare. I have seen this placement one other time, actually 6 other times in 30 years, but most recently in the last 5 years, one time. But you will reach a point where what you're searching for spiritually, you're going to touch it. You're gonna, I know it sounds abstract what I'm saying, but I think you get what I'm saying. You're gonna get what you're looking for. In all the readings and all the places that you attend and all the things that you are drawn to, you're searching for something way deeper, and you're going to find it. You will fulfill the spiritual journey that you want to in your life, not the way your mind develops it, not the way your mind envisions it, but the way that destiny was meant to have it. You do have a lot of things in your life that you can have, let me say this too. You're meant for some kind of distinctive honor. Okay. So, whatever it is that you eventually do, if you stay in it and you grow in it and you build in it, you will be recognized in it, but you have to stay. And you're going to have that discipline starting in your next birthday. You're in a 9th year perfection year this year. This year, from the moment you had your birthday, this most recent birthday, begins an entire year of your life where the knowledge that you're that you're hungering, that you're after, you're going to learn more this year in spiritual life and in spiritual psychic things and all the things you want. You're going to learn more this year than you ever have. Next year, you cannot leave your job, whatever your job is at that time. You have to build stability. This would be the year to start thinking about what you want to do, or where you want to go, and what your goal is, but not waiting on other people, and not waiting on other life choices, and not waiting on other directions. Because next year begins a disciplinary time where Saturn is going to give you that open door that you've been wanting all of your life. And it's going to come from Saturn. Okay? So, at one point after, I don't know if this part passed or not, but this talks about like when a person has warfare that continues and it ends up in some kind of litigation. So If you had, if you were sued or charges were pressed or whatever, drama like that, and it continued for a while and you had to kind of clear things up, this talks about that because of a quarrel with someone. Could be a neighbor, could be a lover, could be a co-worker, whatever. Okay, so you have to be careful with that because this is in where you have Sagittarius in that entire area in your chart. You can see there in your fourth. This is stressful. So a couple of times this part in your future and in the past becomes ignited, and when it does, it's triggered. You got to be careful that you don't have quarrels and things that can end up legally and things like that. Okay, maybe that already happened with the ex, but this is the problem is that this one itself is not just love related. The one that was love related we talked about, and you had mentioned that one was a very different planet, very different house, very different area. So you have to be careful with that. Yeah. So another thing too, if you can do something in your, okay, that could be it as well. Which reminds me, let me see something a minute. You should be careful with Libras, okay? You should be careful with Libras, and you should also be careful with not making enemies anywhere where you have your belongings or assets. That's also, I wrote that down also as warnings. So if you have your belongings in your home, anyone that lives in your home, you have to be careful not to make enemies, because they can take your stuff and ruin it just to, have an issue with you. Very vindictive. You have to be careful with that. But that pretty much takes care of the things in the natal chart. That is part one, where I go over the sun, the moon, and the rising. As you can see now, a lot of people think it's just personality, and if you have a moon like this, it means you're like this. You could see now the depth of, you have to be careful with Libras. Dating a Libra, having a close friend as a Libra, you have to be careful with Libras. Be careful with Libras. And lending them the things that are valuable to you. So if it's your car and it's expensive car, if it's a vape stick and it's the most expensive vape stick, if it's your purse and it's a fancy handbag, you get the picture. Anything that's yours. Don't lend your things. You have Mars in a very interesting place. Don't mess with that. So just telling you, eventually you will see the Libra is not so friend. But hopefully things, I'm one for peace and kindness, and I always try to give positive things, but I'm reading your chart. There's no mistake. Be very careful with Libras. Okay, so that doesn't mean don't watch for other signs, but Libras are the ones that are marked on your chart as hidden enemies. Okay, and you can also always make enemies with someone you live with. You have to be careful with that. So if you meet a guy and he's the guy of your dreams and everything's working out, that's great. But make sure you have a lot of things very secured in conversation, in paperwork, in whatever, insurance, before you move in together. That's the truth. Anyone you have as roommates, be very careful. Make sure that the lease and the things are properly in place. If you have a quarrel with them, they will go directly for everything that belongs to you. I'm not saying that's going to happen like that. It's a warning in your chart. when it becomes activated, maybe it did. It is very strong because I'm not looking at the tiny things in a horoscope. I'm looking at the natal. And these are the things that are the most prominent. There will be one other time where there could be an altercation where you use force. Got to be careful with that. The second time around, there is a warning on the chart that a person can bring a W. Okay? WEA. Okay? So you have to be careful. This could be in the future because obviously right now, you're not involved with any hostile thing like that. But yeah. All right, so that part is in the chart. Other than that, so that's the sun, the moon, and the rising in its description. I went over warnings, which went into part 2, which are plucked from the different planets. I went over your vertex and at least the main part of it, the most important part, the anti-vertex as well. Oh, and your destiny career. Yes, I did touch on that. You will have yes, you will have both, and you will move as well. So this I have a question for you. What is your connection to anything with being an electrician? I know that's not your choice. I know that's not your job. I know that's not your interest. I know that's not the destiny of career. But in what way, shape, or form does electricity or wires or something with that? I'm probably going to confuse your Virgo brain, but what does electrician work have to do with anything in your life? It's a very strange question. I get it. I kind of like a riddle. Involved with an electrician, having the electrical parts of your home or car being worked on intensely, anything with power or electrical issues that was a big deal at one point. There's a reason why I'm asking. When that becomes a theme, it's closer to you moving where you want, and you're going to move north. I just don't know where yet. Okay? So that concludes that. We covered all the things, all the big warnings. There are a lot there, but the good thing is if you watch, safety stuff and you watch the quarrels and all of that, that's, everything will be fine. Okay? Okay. Now, the next thing is I'm going to run a horoscope on you. So that means I'm going to see what's coming up in your life now, and then we'll jump into the mind read, okay? Okay, so let's see. Let's start. So this one you don't have a chart of. I sent you the natal complex and the natal chart simple, the cleaner version to follow because you don't need to follow the crazy one with all the stuff. But this one is the horoscope, so this one is very different. This one you don't have a copy of because you will be lost and confused, I promise. Especially with my weird shit that I do. Okay, but the important thing is, I want to go over, I added this one, I hope you don't mind. I just feel that it's important just to take a fresh look, see what's going on, what's going to be happening, okay, in the near future. Okay, so here we go. On which one, sweetheart? On which one? Videos on what? Did I miss something you said? Probably. You probably explained it and I didn't catch it. Are you talking about horoscopes? You mean collective horoscopes? Anyway, if that's what you meant. Oh, obsessed with electricity. Okay. Oh, that's what you were talking about. Videos on electricity. Well, whenever it sparks up again in your life, you're moving. It's connected to moving. I saw that in your chart. You know how you want to move and start fresh? That's a clue. Don't forget that. You'll know when you know. Oh, did I tell you about the psychic part? Did I tell you about the psychic part in you? Yeah, right? Would I go over all that stuff? I think I did. Okay. Let's go into the horoscope. Okay? All right. So, the first thing that I see, let's start off. You're going to have any minute now. In fact, it might have already happened. Some financial gain from something. So it could have been a sale. It could have been a bonus for something, maybe something of value. It's just a little something, something positive. So I don't know what kind of money could have trickled your way, but sometimes it's a return. Sometimes when people sell something because it upped in value, maybe you get like a credits or bonuses or gifts or something. So this is positive. It could be a little something or a lot of big something. The next thing that I see is you don't drink wine, do you? Be very careful with drinking any kind of alcoholic beverage. Hopefully you don't, yes? Good. So this is just, be careful with anything with beverages, okay? Having like a toxic effect, okay, on the blood and stuff. So just be careful with that. Anything that can, mess with that, with your, levels. The next thing that I see is a female that is a little bit younger than you, giving you maybe some love advice. It could be a year difference, 6 months difference, 2 years difference. Doesn't really matter on the age. She's just a little bit younger than you on a technical standpoint. And she gives you love advice, and it's not exactly the advice that you should follow. Sorry for my crinkly chair. Okay, the next thing that I see that's very important here is this is a time of confusion coming up when it comes to, like, I don't know if you're very stressed with your environment around you. Like when you want to organize or do spring cleaning or fix stuff, whatever that is, when it comes to your own personal things, there's confusion there and it can bring you down. I know that sounds very simple. There's nothing really too deep about it, but yeah, this talks about the mood. So going through your stuff, this is just, the only reason I'm bringing this up in the horoscope is because it's just marking a chronological timestamp for it. So like after this happens, look for this kind of thing. That's why I'm saying that. Let's put our attention to something more important. Is there an opportunity for you to change your job at this time? Because that's coming. Oh, yeah, well, the starting and stopping will happen for a little bit longer and then it'll stop naturally. It's just a phase. Right when that finishes, I would say September, something like that. I don't know if you're looking. It can be that they have, maybe from here to there you start looking. I'm not telling you to not look. And I'm not telling you to look. I'm saying that there's an opportunity that's going to be opening its door when it comes to work. But at the same time, okay, remember that this is a year, you're in a 9th house perfection year, right? So remember that this is the year that you start learning more things spiritually than you ever have. And we already know that eventually your spirituality is going to be a business, right? A side business. Okay? So you got to think of it that way too. because of your 9th house perfection year that you have right now in your particular case, right? It can be that an opportunity for something that connects to that and happens a couple years later can still be a job change. So it's not the one where you're making money now, but it can be something that falls on your lap that opens the door to something that plugs in next birthday, because it's still job. You got to start thinking about spirituality now in a job form, not a hobby. See, remember how I went over the moon to kind of let you know those things about making that difference between, this is just like addictive, I want to know, versus, okay, this is going to structure what I really want. It's time to get down to business and start saying, okay, what's the purpose of this? Like, where's my game plan? Like, does this serve me for this? Is this my purpose for that? Or am I just collecting it and getting the services, and like, what is it for? So it can be that, because in September, when August ends and September begins, there's something that's triggering your chart, very powerful, where it begins a new chapter, and it's work related, but it's also in the spiritual area. So keep an eye out for that. You'll know it, you'll feel it. Okay, let's go on. I'm looking for deeper stuff. So far, I don't see anything too dire, but let me see what else I see. Okay, well, I see something. Okay. All right, there's a small warning. I confirmed it. Yes. Okay, so there's a small warning in your chart. Okay. September, probably September, October, something like that. Something around that time. Are you going to be touching base with your family members, your relatives? This talks about an open emotional wound. So someone that you deal with in your life that shakes things up for you really bad. I don't know about your family life. I don't know what buttons or whatever, but this is strong. This is like when someone pops into your life and kind of really stirs things up. Do you have a brother? Maybe around 35? Okay. So, there could be some emotional trigger. Okay. Hang on, I'm doing 2 readings at once. Give me 1 second. Yours, but 2 things I'm doing. One with the runes and one astrology. So give me 1 second. Okay, let me just finish the horoscope, and then I'm going to go into the Cancer's mind read. And then after that, and then I'll check to see if anything else you need to know and stuff like that, okay? All right, so the next thing is when you are going on your way home or you are on your way to the work, there's something that can surprise you at your job. So a message or email or call, something that kind of stresses you out, and it's about a person bringing up something old that they want to have, stretch it into a problem. So there could be some kind of uncomfortable surprise there, and just be aware. Be careful when you're driving. Don't text or anything like that. Just don't let it stress you. Just pull over if you have to. Like, it could be just something like rude, or someone looking for a reason, looking to stir the pot, looking to so it talks about a person that wants a change, to force a change, either you not work there, or changing the rule on something. It just talks about catching you by surprise. Someone's pissed off, someone's at the work, you got a call, and it's just someone having a shitty day, wanting to give shitty energy. But it also talks about an old problem. Okay. So something very stressful with the brother, like I said, can stir up some stuff. Maybe you're there to comfort him, but this talks about you being very triggered and stressed. So whatever that is, it talks about one being around 35, but one that comes to visit you, or you visit him. So I don't know if they both are in one place. I don't know. This is just explaining that, because astrology gives it to you straightforward. It's just saying the most important thing of all: visiting the sibling, or the sibling visiting you. There's an issue that opens an emotional door that is hard on you. That's what it is. So how do you guard yourself about that? Find out. Anybody going to be there? If he's going to talk about a topic, just be like, hey, I'm real sensitive today, or something like that. That's how you handle it, because you really don't, there's nothing to do to prevent a trigger other than to protect what you see and hear. Okay. Okay, so this is romantic. Well, not romantic, but like with that kind of subject. 1 second. Let me see something. Oh no, I don't need to do this right now. Let me just go ahead and read this and finish. Okay, so pretty much in the early autumn, I would say you're going to be surprised by someone coming in to where you work that you haven't seen in a while. And the only reason I'm telling you that is because it catches you by surprise, and it can stir your feelings for about 3 days. That's why I'm telling you. And if you think about it and plan ahead and do kind of like self-protection, you would say, okay, well, how are you going to feel if you saw this person? How would you feel if you saw that person? That's the only way a person really guards about it. I want to say something. I don't really bother too much with emotional things as an astrologer. Yes, it's important, but some people absolutely obsess over secondary progressions and all that stuff. I don't use it for emotional things too much. Like, your state of mind is important, but it's not everything. I am very realistic. So I'm looking at events and changes and things. So the reason that I pull your attention to, the part of your chart where, if I say something emotional will trigger you, it's because you in particular, it does a number on you really bad. And the stress level internally is a lot. And for you, it's deeper. It could mess up your stomach. Right. Right. Exactly. That's why I mention it. So if I mention it, it's because it will bother you for 3 days. Your digestion, your sleep. Other people, yeah, we're all human and it works. Everyone's sensitive at some point with something, we're not made of steel, but for some people it does a number on their digestion and sleep and everything else, and it makes them nervous. And you've been through enough. So that's what I'm saying. So I see that the brother, for some reason, not on purpose, maybe there's someone with him, or maybe he tells you about an experience and you just don't want to hear it. And because this talks about, he says something out of his mouth, like he goes and says something, and you were not in that kind of mood. So by saying, hey, look, I'm real sensitive today, don't, just double think what you're going to say or something, because I'm really sensitive today. Just make sure it's a topic I want to hear about. He's your brother, so you can tell him that. He'll be like, okay. So yeah, that's the thing. So that's what I can tell you about it. Okay. The thing with the surprise at work, it's somebody that you haven't seen in a while. It might be the Cancer guy. We will see when we do a mind read on him. Well, he's already calling you to, hang out, but maybe it's not him. I'm saying it's got to be somebody you haven't heard from in a while that surprises you. And you're talking to a couple of people that day on the phone. So it's a day that, like, for some reason, you have more texts and more calls. Oh, your brother? Okay. Yeah, I'm sure, but not when he delivers it. When it's him receiving it, he's real sensitive. But he'll dish it out, no problem. So, okay. So he won't even notice it, So, yeah, you on the receiving end is what I'm saying. And it's not something he says to you. It's something he exposes you to that it messes your mood up. You don't want to hear the topic. It's a trigger for you. That's what I'm saying to you. Okay, so about the work thing, it's a day that you're talking to like 4 people, which is more than most. So yeah, even though you're very Miss Social Butterfly and everything, it's a day where you heavily back to back within a 3-hour span. You are talking to several people, texting and whatever, and all of a sudden this person walks in and it really like, whoa. So it's a romantic thing. It doesn't mean he's there with roses and champagne. I'm saying it's somebody that you liked. It's somebody that, was on the love meter, somebody that would really stir you up if he walked through the door, and it's talking about a visit at work. So somebody shows up. I don't know if you are familiar with a Scorpio. Did you ever date a Scorpio? Okay. Okay. Well, the plot thickens. There could be something with that. Maybe the Aquarius has a Scorpio placement. Probably. We don't know, but it could be his rising or something. Okay, so just be aware of that. There's a Scorpion touch to this person. Okay. So the next thing that I see is you are going to discover something online this year, this autumn, right before winter begins, where this is the moment I think that we've been talking about, where I told you that you have a job destiny, and then you have the spiritual job destiny, right? That has been harder for you to lift in your life. It's been like daunting and difficult. Well, it all comes together at the right time. I think if it would have, you got to be realistic. I think if you would have been, this is just my perspective. Oh, I'm only sharing my perspective. I'm not saying it's right, but I trust you enough to share it with you. So I'm just going to say that I feel that if you, from what I've seen in your chart, from what the heaviness I have seen you've gone through, I feel that if you would have been in a place in your life where people would come to you for, numerology readings or whatever you're going to do that's, spiritual for people, you were not in a place where you could help others. And I think that now you are, or you will be, because you were living through your hard stuff. And what I mean by that? I think now you have the ruler of your fifth house is Saturn. So your love life also was slowed down. People with a fifth house Saturn ruler, they can get married later, or some don't marry at all and they just live together with a person like a marriage. There's a lot to the life that has slowed down, like spirituality and romance, because the things that you lived through before were lessons and stuff like that, where now that's kind of like the good part of having a rough earlier life, is that it gets better later. You get more calm in your life. You get more wise, in your Saturn energy. You learn to take it all in, and you've been through things. And now if someone came to you for, a reading or numerology or whatever you're going to do, Reiki, whatever you love, whatever your passions are, I think you have so much to teach, because now you've been through so much, whereas before you were just living through it. You were just living through it. So, so look at it like that. Look at your life in a way where Saturn is really not going to let you choose your timing. It's going to do it for you. It's up to Saturn. That's why they call him Father Time. And it just so happens that Saturn is what is controlling, in a way, your love future and also your spiritual future, which I think is very significant. And it also, it's there to deposit balance in your life, because if you can see, your natal Saturn is in your second house. So your assets and your stability of what you own and your values, your fiduciary value. And it's in Libra, so it brings balance with that later, Okay, so moving on to the horoscope, because that was a little bit of natal stuff, but back to the horoscope, that you're going to reach a certain amount of knowledge. So you're going to tap into something online, or you will be drawn to, because you have an Aquarius moon. So your own mind, your own intuitive moon will draw you to the next thing that's going to be that chapter that opens. And then once you're doing the spiritual thing, you'll look back and say, oh my God, yes, it was the 9th house perfection year. And it was when I discovered blah, 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 blah. So there's something powerful there. Okay, the next thing that I see is I do see you interested in a water sign. Have you ever had a crush? Oh, you have a crush now on a water sign, the Cancer. Okay, that's interesting. Doesn't seem like him, though. Have you ever, well, I mean, it could be, but it feels different. So anyway, this talks about, I do see you starting to be involved with someone. I do see a little bit of an issue, because some of it is, it's going to have a tendency to just be physical. Well, he did already reach out in that way now, but we don't know if that's him or not. But it is a water sign. We'll know when when I look into. Oh, and I can use astrology with it too, but then I'd have to I don't know his rising or anything like that. So to do like love charts and stuff. I mean, I could use any, but yeah, I'm going to use this one because we don't have his rising or anything, and I'd have to do like a time correction, and that takes a long time, and yeah, it's a thing. So I'll just use tarot then. But just letting you know, yeah, astrology can do all the things. Okay, so So I do see you getting rid of something that costs money. So there's going to be something so big. So I don't know if you're looking to change your vehicle, or even like, I don't know if it's it doesn't seem like it's where you live though. Maybe your shift at work or something. There's going to be something that causes financial change. And that's going to be already in the end of autumn, beginning of winter, something like that, of this year. We're talking this year. So my question is, I see you taking pity on a female, okay? And I see you trying to, this is later on, later on this year. I see you taking pity on a female, maybe even the beginning of next year, somewhere within that time frame, end of 26, beginning of 27. Trying to like help her out in some way. So my message to you is, I'm all for generosity and philanthropy and kindness, but I've learned that you have to be very wise with that. And I'm seeing that, you should follow your heart, but not fully. Okay? Because one minute you think you're putting all this effort into her and it's loving and kind, and maybe 2 to 4 months later she will hang out with someone else. Maybe she's going to start where you work and you train her, and then you start caring deeper. I'm not saying don't care. It's beautiful to have human connection, but you do too much. So she show her true colors, and she may be Taurus or Libra, which you have to be careful with anyway. So, but you may not know that at first. She might be a rising, and you may not know it. So, okay. So the next thing is something happens where you decide to change the way that you communicate. So if you upgrade your phone, or you change the way that you message or communicate, I don't know what involvements you have where, it talks about like writing or typing or anything. I don't know what you do with data. Maybe what you do is, this is not a big deal. It's just a change of communication style. So if your job incorporates iPads and you have to do work orders, whatever, just giving you an example. The minimum, I'm not seeing anything too stressful here, except yeah, okay, I do see it. I did see something. Okay. Yeah, checked 3 different ways, 3 different times. Yeah, it's the same thing. So it is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing in your horoscope that there's going to be a really bad argument at your job. And you will know something light in the morning when you wake up. I don't know what time you wake up, but you will know something in the morning. You will either hear someone's voice like they're stressed, or you'll have a small clue and you'll ignore it. Don't ignore it. Maybe it's better that day you're late, or you make up an excuse, or use a sick day or something. I'm not telling you to skip out completely, but if you could delay or something like that, it's going to be a time where you should go with your intuition more. But I do see that you shouldn't walk into that hostility. So there's something very stressful at your job with an argument. You will feel it in the morning, just to let you know. And there's something special about 10 a.m. as well. That's not when it happens, but 10 a.m. is highlighted. And this will be, it's all in chronological order, so just be aware of these things. This can, it's not super soon, but this will unfold. And it's pretty stressful because from here someone leaves. I don't see that you're switching your job right now or anything like that. That's not what I mean. But, people sometimes get readings because they want to avoid altercations, yelling, being surprised by an idiot coming by, whatever. These are things this is why people want readings. Sometimes it's the little things. And this is one of those things. This is annoying to you. So it's important to note. Other than that, one of the things that I recommend for you around November, maybe, if you want, you can do it now or later. Maybe at least by the beginning of 2027, try not to delay, but if you could just journal spiritual thoughts, this is going to help you develop. Do you understand what I mean by that? Are you lazy for typing? Are you a lazy typer? In what way do you like to communicate that doesn't bore you or tire you? Do you journal like old style with a pen? If it annoys you, then you let me know, because we have to find out a way where you can communicate. Just so something is starting where you have to break the ice, and you need something that is expressional, because you are a Gemini, and Gemini has to verbalize or communicate or write or type or express. And this is about grabbing a pencil or a pen, not typing, and you open like a notebook or a book and write your dreams, write your thoughts, and it could be messy, and maybe later on chop it up if you don't want it, if it messy bothers you and you have to have everything perfect, like Virgos with their obsessive handwritings or whatever. But all you have to do is this is just for one of these, like, okay, but it's not just your dreams, it's more than that. Like, take a book and be very messy with it. Okay, this is what I'm seeing in your chart. Just take a book and just, like, even if it's not one of those beautiful hardbound ones, just a cheap $1 notebook, just to get you started. Because the whole point is for you not to care that it's messy. Like, if you drip coffee on it, nobody wants to drip coffee or tea on a gorgeous book with beautiful bookmarks and beautiful pressed flowers. Like, those are expensive, but they don't care about a $1 notebook. So the whole point is for you to have a very rough, messy notebook where you're just breaking the ice. You're not having these gorgeous, okay. So take one of those cheap ones, and you're just going to start writing spiritual, inspirational thoughts that you have, and then just put it aside. Another little thought comes up before bed or in the morning or something, put it aside. And something's going to happen around, the 13th day, and then do that for about 13 weeks, just to look back and see patterns and study something about yourself. There's going to be something there. It's going to help you connect with your ancestors. Okay, it's an exercise. And the next thing I see is Is there any advice that your father ever wanted you to do with career that you didn't? There's an opportunity next year where if you wanted to go for that type of thing, you could. I think that right now, the way that I see it for you, you've been so stuck on trying to figure out the love part that you haven't had the energy for spiritual stuff, and you haven't really cared about changing the job part. And you've just been happy to plug into the ebb and flow of everything. And if you change your angle and you unplug from the same frame of thinking again, you're going to see that you travel in a different direction that really causes more change. So this is special because you're at a young age where you're still, you have enough wisdom, but you still have time to realign and connect a lot of those dots that you haven't. And it starts with small steps. And the first one is to look at your love life differently and look at what you plug into every day, the same frame of thinking. You have what it takes to completely travel away from that and put yourself in a completely different perspective, a very different mind shift. And start prioritizing things in such a deep way and find where that beautiful talent you have of that hyper focus, of that intelligence that you have that is so scientific, take it, and pluck it into the area that you need to. This is the year of knowledge this year. Extra knowledge, esoteric knowledge, spiritual knowledge, knowledge about what makes you spiritual. This is about, you're so into, people that read and psychics and all this stuff. Worry about you. Go back to you. This is a time to start observing yourself. Take a deep interest in yourself. And this is also a year where you learn that you're never going to manifest if you are focused in the things that, don't naturally open for you. So I think this is the year where you learn to manifest spiritually. And it defies logic. And logic is wonderful for solving issues, but it's not spiritual. It's the opposite, right? So that whole thing between Virgo and Pisces. So there's only one water element. You don't need it, but it's important because you're drawn to water very much, and it's lucky for you in many ways. And this is also the year where you put yourself in the right mindset so that next year you start acting on those impulses and those changes, because next year resets the next part of your life. Okay, the next big phase. That's how I see it. Let me see. Okay, so I just want to say that before we end the astrology section, don't forget to avoid an altercation at your job or argument at your job. Okay? That is the big warning that I want you to prevent. Out of all the things that I said, that is the most important, the one that I described, so that you will exceed in the path you're supposed to be on by going against the negativity of that moment. So that's where you don't derail from destiny. Okay? So that's important. All right. So are you ready to start the mind read on him, Maggie? I almost said Margaret or Margie. Okay. So, oh, you are? Okay. So just give me a few minutes and I'll be right back. I'll get back on the live stream and I'll let you know so we can start that mind read. Okay, sweetheart? I'm just going to take a little break. Thank you so much, sweetheart. I'll be right back.